Right. Hey, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to part 2 of our live Q&A sessions for the Feminine Macabre. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Feminine Macabre, I don't know where you've been for the last month and a half now. I've been bombarding my area of social media about it. So the Feminine Macabre is our all-new, all-female paranormal journal. It is coming to you, fingers crossed, this Monday, International Women's Day. That was my original intent. It was my original goal, and hopefully everything goes according to plan. I have done everything on my end, so let's see if the whole processing department gets their act together and does things on time as well. So this Monday, the Feminine Macabre will be available for everyone to purchase. I'm super, super excited. Last night, we got to know Sarah and Vanessa, and the works that they are doing in the paranormal. And it was a great time. So I hope to be able to continue that for the next few weeks. Tonight we have 2 very special guests. They are both doing fantastic things in the paranormal. And I can't wait for you guys to meet them and get a little tease of what they are working on for the Feminine Macabre. Just a quick reminder, I am Amanda of Spook-Eats, where it's all about food, travel, and the supernatural. That is the only plug you will get from me tonight, because it's not about me. It is about these awesome, awesome ladies that we have joining us tonight. So up first, we have Alex Matsuo. She is a paranormal investigator. She has several books out. She is also a blogger and has a fantastic podcast that I got to be a guest on very recently. She is The Spooky Stuff. She's doing fantastic things with marginalized groups. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. It doesn't matter what your sex, your sexual orientation, your ethnicity or race, whatever it is, she wants to talk to you about your paranormal encounters and journeys. So she's going to be a lot of fun to have with us tonight. So drum roll, please. Brrr. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Hello, hello.
I was going to say it was a terrible drum roll on my part. So
oh, you're good. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Thank you. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm very excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Alrighty. And then the second lady that we have joining us tonight is the lovely Charisse Williams. She is also a paranormal investigator. She is also a tarot reader, and she is a witch, and she's done a fabulous job at kind of weaving those 2 aspects of the paranormal together, because the paranormal is not just about ghosts and demons and all that fun stuff. It is also more about the spiritual end of things. So I'm excited to be able to include her work in this journal as well. So please, without further ado, please welcome Cherise Williams.
I like the little reveal. Like,
I try. I don't even know. So welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right. So really quickly, just to kind of introduce yourselves to the viewers who are watching and potential readers, I would love for you guys to just kind of give a very brief kind of origin story of sorts. So Alex, we'll start with you because alphabetical, why not? So just kind of share a little bit of your history and your background and what makes Alex Alex.
Oh boy. Loaded question. So yes, as Amanda said, my name is Alex Matsuo. I am the founder and director of the Association of Paranormal Study. And I also run the social media hub, the Spooky Stuff. So I blog, I do a podcast, and I also have a YouTube channel as well as an Instagram and TikTok presence. And really, I'm very passionate about inclusion in the paranormal. And that's actually what drove me to start the Spooky Stuff podcast, because I wanted to put a spotlight on members of the paranormal community who are also in marginalized groups. So we're talking women, LGBTQ plus, people of color, because we don't really see their presence a lot in mainstream television, especially. So yeah, that's really what really drove me to do that. And plus, people from these groups, including myself, I mean, everyone's doing amazing work. And like I mentioned, I had Amanda on my podcast a couple weeks ago. I also had Charisse Williams on my podcast. And I've been learning so much from all of these amazing people in the community. And like I said, these are voices that we don't often hear very much. Yeah, and let's see. Also, as Amanda said, I've written several books on the paranormal. My latest one is The Brave Mortal's Guide to Ghost Hunting, which is a sort of a paranormal 101 book. It's all about how to get started in the paranormal, how you can integrate different investigation techniques in, even if you're just taking a ghost tour, like making the most out of your paranormal experiences. And really, that drives home the idea of inclusion and not gatekeeping in the paranormal, because there is a little bit of gatekeeping in the paranormal, let's be honest, and really just making the paranormal as accessible as it can be to everybody. And yeah, I mean, when it comes to my origin story, it's not really unique to compared to others, but I had experiences when I was a kid. And I also grew up in a very conservative Christian household, so that passion was stifled for many years. And yeah, I mean, it's just been a really interesting adventure. I started my team in 2011, so we're almost at our 10-year anniversary. Holy cow. And yeah, it's been a crazy adventure. It's been a wonderful, delightfully wonderful, and wonderfully weird adventure, as I like to say. So yeah, that's really my origin story right there. I'm very passionate about research in the paranormal. I'm very passionate about creating a unique space for spirits to communicate to. So going further than give us a sign of your presence, that sort of thing. And yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to my origin story and what I do.
I was gonna say, I love what you said, like wonderfully weird, and that's like a perfect way to describe it. Where, I think that you could very easily look at kind of like the doom and gloom side of hauntings in the paranormal. Also, you have unnecessary drama in the paranormal, like you do with any community and subculture. So to kind of choose to look more at the wonderfully weird stuff that we get to do by going to these locations and trying to communicate with spirits is it's the perfect way to look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
So then up next, we have Charisse, and she takes on a really cool twist of the paranormal, at least in my opinion, I think. So I'm definitely more of like the good old-fashioned ghost girl, and Charisse is really working the whole magic and witchcraft into her paranormal studies. So without further ado, Charisse, tell the crowd more about yourself.
Hi. This is always such an awkward question. Like, no matter how many times you answer this, like, so tell me about yourself. So I've always been interested. I think so many of us in the paranormal field have been interested in it like forever. But I mean, I really have, like, as a kid, I would run to the library section of like, Mothman and Bigfoot and all things creepy and bizarre. And so it's really been such a focus throughout my entire life. Learning about like spontaneous combustion, anything weird and out there that I could consume, I was. But it wasn't really until I was like 18 that the whole like witchcraft world kind of opened up. And on both sides of my family, I have Lutheran and Catholic. And so I was really kind of brought up with that Christian mindset of like witchcraft is evil. I was always interested in it, but I did kind of view it as like, what is this? But then I stumbled on a book, and the first page I opened it to was what witches are and what witches are not. And I was like, holy crap, this is like everything that I've thought, a spiritual belief should be. And then that just opened the floodgates. And it was about like 6 years ago that I really kind of made my spirituality and my witchcraft practice, like brought it to the forefront and really incorporated it into my everyday life, as far as, how I stir my coffee and putting like intentions and energy into my coffee in the morning. And it really just, like I said, became part of my everyday life. And so it was only natural that it fused into my paranormal endeavors. I started investigating about 15 years ago. And then really over the last couple of years, venturing out on my own. But yeah, I mean, when it's so ingrained in just my everyday life, it's impossible to not have it weave into the paranormal as well.
No, I think that that's a beautiful way to describe it. Like, it's so ingrained with who you are that, of course, it's also part of your investigation style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one thing that I have just started, because I really have just started kind of opening myself up more to different spiritual ways of thinking, I guess you would say, because I too was raised in a very Christian household, and then when my little brother passed away, that's when I was kind of like, ooh, what do I think? What do I believe now? And I found that I feel, at least like with Christianity, it's a very male-driven faith system, and kind of fear-driven, whereas I feel like, you know, at least from as an outsider looking in, you know, the whole magic concept and witchcraft is very, I mean, it can be male and female, but I just feel like it's so personal, and that's something that's kind of robbed of other faiths and religions, at least in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. Completely agree.
So I was like, I just want to like, I really respect, you know, how you're approaching it and how you've just beautifully integrated it into your life almost seamlessly.
Thank you.
So I could just talk all day about like how much I'm impressed with you ladies. So.
Oh,
But
we're equally impressed with you. You are doing awesome stuff. This was like the coolest idea ever, and it's much needed. So
thank you. And one thing, especially with you, Charisse, I remember when I first did the call for submissions for, you know, the Paranormal Journal, and everything was coming in, and it was all, you know, haunted places and ghosts, and I was like, that's great, but I want more. I want that other side of the paranormal, you know, the tarot and the witchcraft. And you 100% stepped up to the plate. I will give it everyone a behind the scenes. Charisse wrote one article, and then when I said that I need more spiritual and witchcraft and that stuff, she was like, "Oh, forget what I wrote in that one. I got this for you. I can do this, 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 and this." And it was wonderful. I was very thankful.
I just really wanted to be part of this. So I'm like, I will do whatever you need.
Perfect.
Let me help you out.
Could you just kind of whet the appetite for everyone? What did you write about for the Feminine Macabre?
Well, it's a topic that I think if you're interested in starting witchcraft or even any sort of like spiritual practice, I included some good starting points and tips. And even if you're just a ghost hunter, but you like aren't really into witchcraft, I still think that the information included is important, because I think no matter how you're connecting and reaching out to the other side, and let's be honest, you know, when you have that K2 meter in your hand and you're asking for a sign from the spirits, you're reaching out and putting your energy and your feelers out to the other side. And so it's important to kind of be aware of the energies that you're dealing with, sort of how to protect yourself from those energies potentially, what to do if there is an energy that you are connecting with that isn't the most fun. You don't really want it around anymore. What do you do? So yeah, it's really just kind of about steps that really anybody can do. And heck, even if you're not an investigator, just going out in the world and dealing with people, going to the grocery store anymore, it's like, oh my gosh, all these energies you're dealing with. So the things that I wrote about included are good for even if you just have a bad trip at the grocery store, how you can take care and like kind of maintain your energy. So I'm going to quit talking, because otherwise I think I'll just keep giving information.
No, that's good. It's the worst when you have a show going and like people give you like one word answers and you're like, no, like we have a full show to fill. Keep going. No, so you're fine. You're fine. So yeah, this is one of the topics that I think is super, super important. And one thing that you wrote, again, not to give anything away, but one of the things that you said was, you know, when people are looking to start out in, you know, potentially in their witchcraft practice, they want to do everything, you know, do all the fancy stuff. And you basically are like, no, do energy work, cleansing, protection. You have to learn to walk before you can run. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was perfect.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, again, like you said, people who are interested in witchcraft, people who are interested in paranormal investigation, and even those that aren't, this is just some real life tips that you can really use. Super, super easy. Again, I am not up on any of like the lingo or any of the information in witchcraft or anything like that, but it made perfect sense to me as the layman. So bravo, yes, because sometimes things go over my head. So perfect stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and then Alex, could you please share just a little bit? Don't give too much away. I know you kind of touched on it already, which was perfect. What you wrote for the Feminine Macabre.
Yeah, so I wrote about how we need to change the way that we do paranormal investigations by stepping more into the world of spirits, meaning that we are bringing more contextual methods to spirits. That could mean a multitude of different things. It could mean dressing up. It could mean bringing a toy. It could mean playing music. And also, we need to focus more on creating a connection and not necessarily emulating what we are seeing on TV. Most of mainstream ghost hunting practices come from what we're copying on television. And it hasn't changed in 20 years. We're still asking the same questions. Give us a sign of your presence. It's really focusing on, just bringing more context to the spirits and bringing more of an authentic interest to the ghost hunting context so that you can create a more meaningful conversation with the spirits, and also having the knowledge of the context of the spirits. So meaning like you have some familiarity, I can't talk tonight, of like the time period of where, the location is centered around, and having an idea of what that spirit's life may have been like while they were alive, and bringing that to them instead of making them adapt to us and like, oh, look at our red lights and oh, check out this K2 meter. It's what can we do to bring your world to the table so that you can come talk to us. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. And I realized that my investigation style has always been very selfish in that sense. Never once thought, I would bring trigger objects and play music, those classic things. But like you say, not to give anything away, but in your article, you say that's just skimming the surface. And it's 100% true. I think trying to investigate in a more open-minded way, and not just being open-minded to the idea of spirits, but being open-minded to the spirits themselves.
Yep.
So
yep, exactly.
It's fantastic. Again, I feel kind of ashamed for having never thought of that myself. So I think this is going to be a great piece for people to read. And really, again, kind of like Charise's thing, people can actually read this and take something away from it. Some women shared personal experiences. Some people shared their thoughts and ideas and theories. But I feel like both of you really did a great job with really giving some like a goodie bag of sorts. Like this is what you can take away from this journal. So Alex, I just want to keep you on here for just a second more, kind of to talk briefly about the spooky stuff and kind of how you how you really focus on those marginalized groups that are not represented in any way, shape, or form in mainstream media. So I guess it's a stupid question, but like, what kind of inspired you to really focus on these groups?
Well, there was a couple things. It was the lack of representation on TV. That's always been a big one. Also, given the size of the community, especially on a social media hub like Facebook, I've noticed there's been, it's going to sound a little mean, but there's kind of been there's some ignorance when it comes to, true representation in the field. And a lot of like, just me, I put out teaser questions or feelers. And here's an example. I put out a question on Twitter and Facebook. I said, hey, who are your favorite queer paranormal investigators? I could not believe the responses I got. I got a lot of supportive responses, which was amazing. But I also got like, why does it matter? Why should we care?
Yeah. And
I'm thinking, absolutely, we should care because this is part of this person's story. And not only that, they are going to approach an investigation differently than a cisgendered, heterosexual white person. like, for example, Shay McClellan with the Q-Files and the show Queer Ghost Hunters. They specialize in reaching out to queer spirits. There's a different way to investigate and having empathy for these other groups. And also members of these groups are doing amazing work in the field, but we never hear about it. We absolutely do not hear about it. And just the fact that I was thinking, like, how many trans paranormal investigators do I know?
Not a lot.
I know two, but I didn't know who they were until I put out the questions. And I have an audience on TikTok of young investigators who want to know who these people are. They don't have to be on TV. It's, hey, who's from the First Nations that is into the paranormal? Because I'm First Nations, but I don't know anyone in my community who is also wanting to learn more about the paranormal. Who can I reach out to? Or same thing, like I'm a trans woman who is a paranormal investigator, but I don't see myself represented in media or in the paranormal community. Do you know anybody? Because I want to connect with that person. And so that's really what I'm trying to do with this podcast, is create those connections and let the world know, hey, these folks are out here and they're doing great work. They're doing great work and they're making very meaningful contributions to the field.
Yeah, it's almost like what I was trying to do with the Feminine Macabre, just women in general. And you kind of took it even one step further, like even more marginalized groups in a way, like as myself, I am a straight white woman. I've experienced a little bit of discrimination, but mostly just sexism. I have no idea what other people are going through. So, and, with volume 1, I was hoping to get a bit more inclusion in there. But it's mostly, it's a bunch of young white chicks. It's fine. But I'm hoping for, down the road, if anyone who's watching that, I said, this is open for ladies and thadies. If you're trans, if you're a person of color, First Nations, anything like that, it's fun to hear from the young white women, but that's not the whole community. And we want to try to be as inclusive as possible and try to include as many people, because everyone has different ways of approaching the paranormal. Everyone has different backgrounds, and everyone has something important to contribute, and we can all learn from each other.
Exactly.
So, fingers crossed for volume 2 that we get a few more. I should say we should get the word out more so more people in these groups can have their voices be heard. That's my goal. Exactly. So, alrighty. And Charisse, one final question for you before we bring it all back together. So we kind of touched on it a little bit, but with your witchcraft practice and stuff, how much does it, I know you said like it really like seamlessly weaves in with your paranormal investigation, but like how exactly do you use your witchcraft in paranormal investigations, if that makes sense?
Well, first and foremost would be what I wrote in the book. Like that's base, you gotta take care of the energy, for sure. I think a big part of it too is, when I started learning about witchcraft and these in different paths and stuff, it really kind of opened me up to more theories on, like, because I'm not science-based, but I kind of like to know the science behind things. And so it was really kind of, I would look up like, well, energy, like how is this working with this? And like kind of the science behind it. And then that would open up to like, how ESP works and like things like that. So it just kind of opened my mindset up more too. And so kind of how I approach investigations or look at things like, well, how, is this actually like a person that I'm talking to? Is this my thoughts and energy affecting the equipment? And it really, I want to say I go in there and do like these elaborate spells and rituals, but it really is more just kind of bringing it all back to like center. So if I am feeling myself getting like frazzled, or I do think maybe it is my energy and intention affecting equipment or whatever, I kind of like bring myself back and do like some centering stuff. I also try to connect to the spirits and the energies of the land, of not just like ghosts, but, fairies even, or nature spirits. And I like to leave offerings when I go. Like I went to a cemetery today and I left some coins at the beginning of the entrance to the cemetery, and, just kind of approaching it that way from more of like a spiritual sort of like when I'm sitting down to talk to my ancestors and pull cards and connect to them, I kind of do that same sort of mentality and energy to connect to spirits, I guess.
Now, I know, obviously, you just mentioned it yourself, that you are a tarot reader. Do you use tarot on investigations at all?
Not as much as you would think. You'd think,
Yeah,
like, oh, you're a tarot reader, you're an investigator. I'm sure you do it all the time. I really don't as much. I'm not sure why. I mean, I have, and it's usually pretty accurate. Like, I did an investigation at a house here in Ohio last weekend, and I pulled the cards out, and they were really fitting to who we think that we were connecting to. I don't want to go too much because I'm going to post my YouTube video.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, anytime I have used it, it has been pretty accurate. And I've used it before investigations too, as far as like, you know, what kind of energy can I expect at this location? Is there anything that I should be like looking out for, or anything that maybe I should be doing, you know, like any sort of investigation style that I should be trying, or things like that.
No, I love it because I just got my very first deck from my husband. So I've been like playing with it, and I'll be like, Mom, do you want a reading? I have to practice.
Awesome.
So, I'm obsessed, and I can see like where I already saw like 3 other decks that I want to get, and I was like, oh, I can see how this can become a problem.
Yeah, get ready. It's
I feel like it's gonna be like a rabbit hole I'm just gonna fall down into, and I'll be totally happy with.
Yeah.
So we are almost out of time, so I want to bring everyone back on. The last question I want to ask you guys, I think, is, you know, kind of the whole crux of the Feminine Macabre. But I want to ask, and I'll keep everyone up at the same time, kind of as more of a groups therapy session. I don't know. But what does it mean to you personally to be a woman in the paranormal? So Charisse, because you're in the middle, you get to go first.
Gosh. What does it mean? I don't really know how to answer this question. I do kind of feel, I mean, I don't want to say I feel like pressure to show up and like really contribute, but I kind of do, because I feel like women in this field are already viewed as being, you know, like we get terrified of everything and like, oh, everything's so scary. And really, it's been the opposite for me when I've gone out with like the group I used to go with. It was all guys. Like they wouldn't want to go into this room, and I'm like, oh my God, just go in. Like, so I do kind of feel a sense of like needing to prove myself almost, which is kind of frustrating, but also like that kind of motivates me. Like I can sit at the table with the big guys. Like I can handle myself. So it's kind of, yeah, it encourages me to do better and to, you know, really kind of do good work and make a name for myself for other women and show other women that like you can do this too.
Awesome. I love it. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, I have a similar answer as Charisse. You know, being a woman out there in the field who, for me, I'm doing it for like the other plus size, part Asian little girls out there who may be wanting to become a ghost hunter and they don't see themselves represented in media. You know, it's also a reason why I'm very much passionate about holding paranormal media accountable for their representation. That's why I speak out, because if I don't speak out, I don't know who, you know, I'm sure there will be others, but what, you know, I'm doing it to make my voice as loud as possible. So, and also like Charisse, very similar. I'm the same way, you know, I'm the one who's going to go in head first into a location. I'm not the one who needs to be saved. I'm not the one who is going to like need guidance all the time. You know, I'm the one who's going to like, I run my own team. I've been running my own team for almost 10 years now. So, really showing, you know, hey, a woman can do this, you know, a woman can do this and be a leader. And I'm also realizing what we're talking about today isn't too far off from like, you know, even just regular corporate business world of, you know, what does it mean to be a woman in our society right now?
No, it's crazy how it, like, the main culture of at least the United States has really trickled down into this little, very small subculture, but it's there and it's prevalent, and there's no denying it, unfortunately. So that half hour flew by. I could talk to you ladies all night long. Alex, can you just let people know where they can find you all over social media?
Yeah. So you
Oh.
can find my website at alexmatsuo.com. It's my name, all one word.com. And you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I think I got them all at the spooky stuff. And you can also find my YouTube channel at Alex Matsuo. If you type in my name, you should be able to find me. And yeah, you can find me on Amazon too. You can pick up a couple copies of my book, if you want. If you need a new doorstop, it's very helpful for that. If you want a signed copy of one of my books, I'll be happy to send you one too. Just PM me. So yeah, I'm easy to find.
Awesome. I was going to say, everyone should follow Alex because she's fabulous and she posts some of the best stuff around. So then, Charisse, will you tell us where we can find you? It sounds super creepy, but
where can you find me? I'm pretty much active on Instagram and TikTok, ChariceWilliams.xo. YouTube is Charisse Williams XO, and then also my website, ChariceWilliams.com.
I love this. This is nice and easy. You guys did it good. There's no like crazy like flygirliseasy.com. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for joining me. I so appreciate that you guys are a part of this project, that you're doing such a fantastic job at promoting it and helping spread the word. I really, really, really appreciate it. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is super fun.
Yeah. Awesome.
Alrighty. So again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I do have a couple of comments that I just want to address really quickly. So Robin said, do you have any future articles on the over 50 researcher or the handicapped? We do have several women included in volume 1 that have been investigating the paranormal for 20 to 30 years now. So definitely on the older side. And unfortunately, we don't have anyone handicapped in any way, shape, or form. But again, I always encourage people, if you want to be a part of volume 2, definitely you can head to Spook-Eats.com/Feminine Macabre. That is where you'll be able to find all the information on volume 1, where you'll be able to get it come this Monday, March 8th. As well as if you're interested in submitting anything for volume 2. I always encourage you, if there's anything paranormal, whether it's ghosts, folklore, death rites, witchcraft, tarot, cryptids, anything like that. If you feel passionate enough to write about it, feel free to send something over. I would absolutely love to consider it for volume 2. It doesn't matter if you're a part of a team or not, if you haven't been investigating for very long, if you've never been published before, I don't care. So definitely take a chance and send something over. And then again, really quickly, I want to approach this. Lily says, I hate that this has become a male and female thing. We're not really trying to make it a male versus female thing. And I could go all night long about, toxic masculinity in the paranormal reality TV. But basically, this is just an opportunity to give a voice to women in the paranormal because not a lot of people know about women in the paranormal. Women have been involved in the paranormal since the mid-1800s, and yet you do not know their names. At least most people don't know their names. They're not familiar with their works. And a lot of times, if people do know women in the paranormal, they are overshadowed by the men that they also work with. Again, I'm not trying to erase men from the narrative. They are there. Everyone knows about them. Everyone's very familiar with them and their work. My hope was to create a platform for these women who are doing just as much work, working just as hard, and investigating with just as much integrity as the men that you guys already know about. So again, we're not trying to make it a guy versus girl thing, a male versus female thing. This is just a place that women can come together to share their findings, share their theories, and their research, and have a chance to be heard. Because for too long, they haven't been heard. They've been ignored. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Again, if you're interested in submitting for volume 2, you can head to Spook-Eats.com/Feminine Macabre and stick around. The next live Q&A session will be coming this Monday on International Women's Day, and hopefully the release date for the Feminine Macabre. We will be inviting Laura Sutcliffe on here, as well as Mary Becker. So it's going to be a great conversation, and I can't wait for you guys to meet these ladies. So until then, have a great weekend, everyone, and be sure to stay weird.